The day I turned 80, I believed my life had changed forever. I remember standing in my kitchen when my legs suddenly felt weak beneath me. My feet were cold, my calves felt unusually heavy, and before I understood what was happening, I was lying on the floor wondering whether I would ever walk with confidence again. More than the pain itself, I feared losing the independence I had protected throughout my life. Now, I am 100 years old, and that difficult day became the beginning of an entirely different journey. I am not a physician, and I am not here to replace professional medical advice. I can only share the everyday habits that helped me care for my health and remain active as I grew older. Over the years, I discovered that simple choices made consistently often mattered more than expensive trends that promised quick results. That is why I want to share 10 familiar drinks that became part of my daily routine. They are not miracle cures, and they are not guaranteed to produce the same results for everyone. Instead, they are affordable beverages that can fit into a balanced lifestyle alongside regular medical care, nutritious eating, physical activity, and healthy daily habits. As we count them down from the simplest to my personal favorite, I will explain what I like about each one, where its limitations begin, and how I chose to include it in my routine. My hope is not to convince you to chase a miracle. My hope is to remind you that healthy aging is often built through small, consistent choices, patience, and the determination to keep moving forward one day at a time. Before we move toward the drinks that surprised me the most, we have to begin with the simplest ones because every strong foundation starts with basic daily habits. The first drink is plain water. It may not sound exciting, but staying well hydrated supports many normal functions throughout the body. As we grow older, many people naturally become less aware of thirst, making it easier to drink less water than the body needs. For that reason alone, water deserves a place at the beginning of this journey. The next familiar choice is green tea. It has been enjoyed for generations and contains naturally occurring plant compounds that have been widely studied as part of a balanced diet. While many people appreciate green tea as a healthy beverage, it should not be viewed as a quick solution. Like most healthy habits, any potential benefits are more likely to come from regular long-term use rather than dramatic overnight change. Then comes ginger tea, a comforting drink that many people enjoy because of its naturally warming sensation. On cool mornings, it can be both refreshing and relaxing, especially for those who often feel cold in their hands or feet. Although I enjoyed adding it to my routine, I never expected it to solve every problem by itself. That is the lesson I hope you remember throughout this countdown. No single drink can replace a balanced lifestyle or appropriate medical care. Instead, each one offers something different. Small improvements, practiced consistently over time, often become far more valuable than searching for one perfect answer that promises everything but delivers very little. Once those everyday foundations were in place, I became more interested in traditional plant-based drinks that had been enjoyed for generations. These were not fashionable products with impressive labels or expensive marketing campaigns. They were familiar ingredients that many families had known for years, and they reminded me that simple nutrition often deserves more attention than passing trends. One drink that stood out was tart cherry juice. Many people appreciate it for its naturally colorful plant compounds and pleasant flavor. At the same time, I learned to enjoy it in moderation because it also contains natural sugars. For me, the lesson was not to avoid it, but to think about balance instead of assuming that more is always better. Pure cocoa offered a completely different experience. Without large amounts of added sugar, it has a rich and naturally bitter taste that is not for everyone. It taught me that foods often do not need to be overly sweet to become part of a healthy routine. Sometimes the healthiest choices require patience, while our taste preferences slowly adapt. Pomegranate juice also earned a place on my list because of its nutritional value and long history in many traditional diets. However, it can be more expensive than other everyday options, reminding me that healthy habits should also be practical enough to continue over time. These drinks helped shape a simple philosophy that has stayed with me for years. Lasting health is rarely built by chasing expensive products. It grows through thoughtful choices, realistic expectations, and habits you can comfortably maintain. The goal is not perfection. The goal is creating a routine that supports your well-being day after day and year after year. As the countdown continued, a clear pattern began to emerge. Many of the beverages I found most interesting were connected by one simple idea. They were made from vegetables and plants that naturally contain nutrients studied for their role in supporting normal blood vessel function as part of a healthy diet. That realization changed the way I looked at everyday food. Instead of searching for complicated solutions, I started paying closer attention to ordinary ingredients that had been sitting in kitchens for generations. Hibiscus tea became one of my favorite afternoon drinks because it was refreshing, affordable, and easy to prepare. Celery juice attracted attention for a different reason. It encouraged me to include more fresh vegetables in my daily meals rather than depending on processed foods. An arugula smoothie was another reminder that leafy greens can be a valuable part of a balanced eating pattern, even if their flavor takes time to appreciate. Finally, the countdown reached beetroot juice, which became my personal favorite. Beetroot naturally contains dietary nitrates, nutrients that researchers continue to study for their relationship with normal cardiovascular function and exercise performance. That does not make it a miracle drink, nor does it guarantee the same results for every person. Instead, I came to see it as one useful choice within a much larger lifestyle. Looking back, I believe the greatest lesson was never about finding one perfect beverage. It was about building a daily routine filled with colorful vegetables, wholesome foods, regular movement, and consistent habits. Healthy aging is rarely shaped by one ingredient alone. It is created through many thoughtful choices repeated with patience over months and years until they become a natural part of everyday life. After sharing the 10 drinks that became part of my routine, I realized there was one more lesson I could not leave unsaid. If this conversation ended with food alone, it would tell only half the story. Looking back across 100 years of life, I have learned that caring for the body is important, but caring for the mind is just as essential. The two are connected more closely than many of us realize. There were periods in my life when I ate reasonably well, but still carried worry, frustration, and sadness. During those times, even the healthiest habits felt incomplete because my mind never had a chance to rest. As the years passed, I began to understand that daily peace is something we must practice with the same consistency that we practice healthy eating or regular movement. That does not mean difficult emotions should be ignored. Everyone experiences stress, disappointment, and uncertainty. Those experiences are part of being human. The important question is how we respond to them. Learning to slow down, breathe deeply, spend time with people we love, and let go of unnecessary tension became just as valuable to me as any drink I placed on this list. This is why I encourage you to think beyond individual foods or beverages. Good nutrition supports the body, but emotional well-being supports the entire person. Healthy aging is not built on one ingredient, one routine, or one decision. It grows from many small habits working together every single day. When we nourish both our bodies and our minds with patience and kindness, we give ourselves the best opportunity to enjoy a healthier and more meaningful life. As I reflected on that connection between body and mind, another lesson became impossible to ignore. Some of the greatest obstacles to healthy aging cannot be seen in a mirror or measured by what sits on a dinner plate. They quietly build through constant stress, endless worry, unresolved anger, and the habit of comparing our lives with everyone else. These invisible burdens can slowly steal our energy long before we recognize what is happening. I have known people who paid close attention to every meal they ate, yet they rarely gave themselves permission to rest. Their days were filled with rushing, worrying, and carrying emotional weight that never seemed to disappear. Over time, I realized that living in a constant state of tension makes it much harder to enjoy the benefits of otherwise healthy habits. A peaceful mind and a healthy lifestyle are not competing goals. They support one another. That realization changed the questions I asked myself each morning. Instead of only wondering what I should eat, I also asked how I wanted to think, how I wanted to respond to challenges, and whether I was allowing unnecessary stress to follow me through the day. Those simple questions gradually helped me become more patient with both myself and the people around me. Healthy aging is not created by nutrition alone, and it is not built by positive thinking alone. It grows when healthy food, regular movement, emotional awareness, meaningful relationships, and adequate rest become part of the same daily routine. When we care for both the body and the mind with equal attention, we create a stronger foundation for resilience, independence, and a life that feels balanced instead of constantly overwhelmed. As I became more intentional about reducing unnecessary stress, I discovered that the greatest changes often began with the way I treated other people and the way I treated myself. Healthy meals and daily walks were important, but they were only part of a much larger picture. The habits that brought me the deepest sense of well-being were kindness, patience, honesty, gratitude, and the willingness to forgive. For many years, I believed forgiveness was something we offered only to another person. With time, I learned that forgiveness also frees the one who carries the burden. Holding on to old anger can keep the mind trapped in yesterday, while letting go creates space for peace to grow. That does not mean forgetting painful experiences or pretending they never happened. It means choosing not to allow them to control every new day. Honesty became another quiet source of freedom. Living truthfully removed unnecessary worry and allowed my relationships to become stronger and more genuine. Patience also changed my perspective. Instead of expecting instant results from healthy habits, I learned to appreciate steady progress that unfolded little by little. Most importantly, I discovered that kindness should begin at home. The way we speak to ourselves matters just as much as the way we speak to others. Encouragement often creates more lasting change than constant criticism. When these simple emotional habits become part of everyday life, they support every other healthy choice we make. Nutrition, movement, meaningful relationships, and inner peace begin working together instead of separately. In my experience, living well has never been about adding more to life. It has been about carrying less fear, less resentment, and more gratitude with each passing year. As those lessons became part of my daily life, I noticed something unexpected. The more I simplified my days, the more peaceful they became. I no longer believed that every hour had to be filled with activity, or that happiness depended on staying busy from morning until night. Instead, I learned that some of the most valuable moments were also the quietest. Each morning, I enjoyed sitting outside with a warm drink before the day became busy. I listened to the birds, watched the sunlight reach the trees, and allowed myself a few minutes without rushing toward the next task. Those simple moments never appeared remarkable from the outside, yet they helped me begin each day with a calmer mind and a clearer perspective. I also became more careful about where I placed my attention. Modern life offers an endless stream of information, opinions, and distractions. While staying informed has value, constantly reacting to every headline or comparing ourselves with carefully edited images can leave us feeling exhausted. I found that protecting my peace often meant choosing when to step away and reconnect with the people and places that truly mattered. Growing older has taught me that success is not measured only by accomplishments or possessions. It is also measured by how much joy we find in ordinary moments, meaningful conversations, and familiar routines. A simple walk, a shared meal, or a quiet afternoon with family can bring a sense of contentment that no purchase can replace. Perhaps that is one of the greatest gifts of age. We gradually learn that life becomes richer, not by adding more noise, but by creating more space for gratitude, presence, and genuine connection every single day. As we bring these ideas together, one message becomes clearer than ever. Healthy aging is rarely shaped by one remarkable decision. More often, it reflects the small choices repeated day after day with patience and consistency. A nourishing eating pattern, regular movement, restful sleep, meaningful friendships, emotional balance, and moments of quiet reflection each support the others. None of these habits needs to be perfect to have value. What matters is creating a lifestyle that can be maintained over time instead of searching for dramatic solutions that promise immediate results. Looking back, the 10 drinks introduced throughout this discussion are best understood as examples of simple foods that can fit within an overall balanced diet, not as guaranteed answers for every individual or replacements for professional medical care. Different people have different health conditions, nutritional needs, and personal preferences, so it is always wise to make choices that are appropriate for your own circumstances and to seek qualified medical advice when needed. Perhaps the greatest lesson is that longevity is not measured only by the number of birthdays we celebrate. It is also reflected in the quality of our daily lives, the kindness we share, the gratitude we practice, and the habits that help us remain active, curious, and connected with the people around us. Every healthy meal, every peaceful walk, every encouraging conversation, and every thoughtful decision becomes another step toward a stronger future. No matter your age today, you can begin with one positive habit and allow it to grow into many others. Lasting well-being is built patiently, one ordinary day at a time, and every meaningful journey begins with the next small step. As we reach the end of this journey, it becomes clear that the 10 drinks were never meant to be the destination. They were simply a starting point for a much broader conversation about how we choose to care for ourselves every single day. Good nutrition can certainly support a healthy lifestyle, but it works best alongside other habits that strengthen both the body and the mind. No beverage, supplement, or single ingredient can replace the value of regular movement, restful sleep, meaningful relationships, emotional balance, and a sense of purpose. Perhaps the most important lesson is that healthy aging is not built through dramatic changes or expensive products. It is created through ordinary decisions repeated with patience and consistency. Choosing wholesome foods, staying physically active, managing stress in healthy ways, showing kindness to others, and making time for gratitude all contribute to a life that feels richer and more fulfilling. These habits do not promise perfection, but together they create a strong foundation for long-term well-being. If there is one idea worth remembering after this video, let it be this. Your future is shaped less by one remarkable choice than by the many small choices you make each day. Every nourishing meal, every peaceful walk, every moment of forgiveness, and every meaningful conversation becomes an investment in the life you are building. No matter where you are today, it is never too late to begin caring for yourself with greater intention. Take one simple step today, stay consistent tomorrow, and allow those small actions to become a healthier, calmer, and more meaningful way of living for years to come.